What's up, guys? Today is going to be the first day and the first installment of my van life tips. This is going to be a series of videos where I talk about different things that I've learned and different bits of advice that I have for you guys who have not actually dove into van life or maybe just getting your feet wet. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of stuff that you may not think of it, so let's just dive right into it. This video is really going to cover a lot of the different things that I've learned about living in a van in a small town. The town that I live in Montana is about 50 miles from just about anywhere else. There isn't a Walmart within an hour drive. Now, for a lot of people, that sounds like heaven, but the reality of the situation is that it makes buying things a pain. This van that I'm in, this RV, gets 10 miles to the gallon. The closest Walmart is about 50 miles away. You know, I'm averaging, 55 to 60 miles per hour on the actual highway. If I'm lucky, I might get stuck behind a tractor, but the worst thing is I get 10 miles to the gallon. That's 50 miles at 10 miles to the gallon. It's going to take me 5 gallons just to get down to Walmart and another 5 gallons to come back. Now, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but 10 gallons of gas at $2.90 a gallon, which is how much it is here, that's $29. $30 just for me to go to Walmart and spend more money. That's a pain. So a lot of times you think, okay, well, why don't you just buy something from Amazon? Great. Well, you have to have an address for that. And I do. I have a P.O. box. But here's the deal. Half the stuff that I want to buy from Amazon will not ship to a P.O. box. It won't. So there are a couple other options that you can have. You can do what's called general delivery. General delivery, which Amazon does do, you send it to the actual just post office where you pick it up. There are different processes for doing that. The standard, though, is you just tell it to ship it to that town, and then at the end of the zip code, you add 9999. And that signals to Amazon and to the post office that it's a general delivery. When you get the notification from Amazon that your package is ready to pick up, you just go to the post office with your ID and they'll be able to give it to you. But there's a problem. Half the stuff that Amazon ships via UPS. UPS cannot complete a general delivery. UPS will get stuck and they won't be able to actually send it out to be delivered. The only place and the only organization that can do a general delivery is actually the United States Postal Service itself. So me, not knowing this, and not knowing which company that Amazon would ship some of my products via, I purchased an item, had it set up to be general delivery, and Amazon shipped it via UPS. And there is no UPS store or UPS drop-off point in this small town in Montana where I live. So I ended up spending about 8 hours of my life, I'm not kidding, I could show you the phone records, calling Amazon, calling UPS, trying to get them to change the address to my work address, which is a physical address. The items that I ordered could not be shipped to a P.O. box. And I was told repetitively by both Amazon and UPS that what I was asking them to do was impossible. That the only way that I'd be able to get these packages would be for me to drive from where I am in this small town 50 miles to get to the closest UPS store. Oh, and by the way, that UPS store is only open for picking up items between the hours of 4 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. I get off work at 4:30 p.m. and it's over an hour drive to get there, which means that I would be getting there right after or right as they're closing, so there's no guarantee that that trip would even be fruitful. On top of that, I'd be spending $30 in gas money just to get down there to pick up a package that the main reason I have Amazon Prime and the main reason I'm purchasing things is because that's the drive I don't want to do. This has happened 3 or 4 times now where I've had to change addresses and try and have things shipped to different locations, and it really does just make buying things a colossal pain in the ass. Second thing about living in a van in a small town is that everyone knows who you are. I'm here for the summer. This town has a grand total population of 1,500 people, and everyone recognizes my van as I'm driving down the street. People know each other by name. They know when you're not from around there, too. And when they see your van, they'll know exactly who it is that's in that van. It's virtually impossible to fly under the radar and do what's called in the community stealth camping or stealth parking. People notice a vehicle parked on the side of the road here because it's so small. And you have to keep that in mind. You have to keep that in mind that rumors and word about you is going to travel faster than you could possibly imagine. The weekend before my job actually started, it was a Friday, I went into the library to get set up with a library card. It's a great place to go for free Wi-Fi, for air conditioning, and just to relax. I talked to the library, have a nice conversation, oh, who are you, where are you from, what are you doing up here? It's a little bit like an interrogation. And I had this great conversation with her, and I was trying to make sure I was being very respectful, very nice. Not that I'm not normally, but I was trying to make sure that I put a good impression because I don't know who she knows. Well, this was on a Friday. Come Monday, my very first day on the job, my supervisor actually comes up to me and says, "Yeah, the librarian told me about you." Over the weekend, the librarian had seen my supervisor and said, "Oh yeah, I met one of your seasonal park rangers. Yeah, he seemed like a good guy." Thank God she said I seemed like a good guy. The point is that in a small town, word travels fast. And a lot of the places that a lot of van lifers want to travel to, if you're looking for those sort of adventurous times, if you're going to be sticking around for any length of time, you can bet your butt that someone in that town is going to recognize you and word is going to travel pretty fast. It's what happens. It happened here. It's happened here multiple times. That was just the first and most noticeable time. So it's just something to keep in mind to always be on your best behavior because you never know who you're going to piss off. The third thing that I have that's a bit of advice for van life in a small town is just to get involved with the community. If you're like me and you're kind of vagabond, nomad, travel around a little bit, I just work here for the summer and then I'll be gone. The best thing that you can do to try and make sure that you don't have any trouble or problems with different parking, with the police, with anything, is just get involved with the community. I go to the library as often as I can. Like I said before, it's a great place for me to have free Wi-Fi, for me to have air conditioning, and a library is basically there for you to loiter. So you can loiter in there and they won't get pissed off. The librarian here actually counts me multiple times as a user because I spend so much time there and it helps her get her numbers up. I also volunteer at the animal shelter when I can. It's another good way that I can get my pet fix because I miss my dog and that I can meet other people in the community. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways that you can do stuff like this. One of my friends and coworkers goes and works out with some of the locals every morning. They go and run and do crazy hill climbs and things that I'm not in shape for. But he does that with them, and that's a good way of him getting involved. The point is that there's a lot of different ways that you can get yourself involved with the community, and it's overall just going to make your life easier. I don't get bothered by the police because I know them by name. I can park in different places, and they're not going to bother me. They'll see my van, and they know it's just me, and they don't have a problem with it. They also were able to help me when I actually got locked out of the van. Just another little bit of advice. Side note. If you buy your van used, and the previous owner says that it comes with a hide key, make sure that the hide key actually goes to some of the doors in the van, because mine did not, and I learned that the hard way. Side note over. The point is, there's a lot of different things that you can do to get yourself involved that are overall going to make your life easier, and it's up to you to find them. These are just a couple of things that have worked for me. These are things that I have found have made my life easier already, and overall it just kind of makes life more pleasant. You don't want to be known as the guy who's just sits in his van all day and is creepy. That's not me. And so I don't want people to think about that as me. So I try and get out, I try and get involved, and I try and just find other ways. The best thing that you can do when you're living in a van is to get out of the van. You don't want to spend your entire day in the van. That's the worst thing that you could possibly do. You will drive yourself absolutely crazy. What about you guys? That's what I want to know. What do you guys do if you live in a small town in a van? If you just live in a van in general, what different tips do you guys have? Make sure you leave a comment down below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm just trying to get started out here so I could really use any bit of help that I get. And I will see you guys on the next Van Life Tips.